All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how we doing?
Not too shabby, not too shabby. Can't complain.
Cannot complain about anything. Before we get into the podcast, I just want to take the time to thank everyone for wishing me a happy birthday yesterday. Okay? If you might have missed it, if you don't know, I turned 25 years of age yesterday.
Woo! Old.
Everybody's like, Corey, happy birthday. Glad you're taking a trip around the sun. And I'm just like, shit, damn it, I am 25. Now, in case you also missed it, Evan is about a year or two older than me.
Yeah, I'll turn 27 this year.
So Evan's just slightly older than me, but still, I think once you get into that middle stage of your 20s, you're just like, Jesus.
Yep. This year I will be considered my late 20s, and that makes me want to throw up a little bit.
It goes so fast. It goes so fast. So again, thanks for everyone for wishing me a happy birthday. Let's just get right into the games because honestly, none of these games are going to be really fun to talk about, maybe outside of the Spurs game. So Milwaukee played last week, maybe almost 2 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah, it would have been, we're looking at the third, the fourth, the sixth, and the eighth. 3, 4, 6, 8.
They played against the Indiana Pacers January 3rd. They lost that game 140 to 132. 142 to 130.
Yes.
Not kind of watching like a short 10-minute blurb of that game. It wasn't really close throughout. It didn't have the same energy. But Milwaukee didn't have the same energy as they did in the previous matchup against the Pacers, in which they led most of the game, then Indiana kind of stormed back and won. This game, it was just like it was all Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner.
Yeah, it was really just the third quarter. I think the Bucks scored 29. They gave up 47. So, and then all the other quarters were pretty close. They were only down 2 in the first, but then came back in the second. But yeah, giving up 47 in the third was, in my opinion, kind of their slow downfall. But I don't know. It's just one of those games where you got Giannis and Lillard and Chris scoring. Now you could throw in Brook, and then no one else was like, I don't really feel like. I mean, Marjan had 12, but outside of that, it was horrible. I mean, they did score 130, but you gave up 142. So it would be cool to win scoring 130, but when you give up 12 more points and lose, it doesn't help.
And defensively, what I'm noticing is, and again, I may have to like watch the tape on this, but what I'm noticing is I don't know if they're trying to do like a Jason Kidd trap defense, because what it seems like, it doesn't seem like a drop coverage anymore because the numbers don't correlate. Brook Lopez is top 5 in blocks, yet at some moments they're having him kind of run around the perimeter and everybody's kind of getting easy looks inside the paint. So I don't know what they're doing. It feels like now they're trying to mix in a little more zone, but it's just like, I just don't understand how you allow 142 points. Okay. I can't sit here and be like, oh, well, that's the whole league. No, it's not. Okay. You're watching Milwaukee's defense. Now, granted, Tyrese Halliburton did make some tough shots in that game, but Milwaukee is also giving up a lot of points in the paint. So many easy opportunities. And for Halliburton, when I watched him, he's as good of a scorer he is. He's a really underrated passer. Like, he was throwing some dimes. And I just don't understand how in a back-to-back, a game that Milwaukee should win theoretically, because if you see the team one night and they have the same plays, and you see the team the next night and they have the same plays, theoretically you should win one of those games. But unfortunately, what this really comes down to is I just don't think Indiana is a very good matchup for Milwaukee.
No, they're all so much younger. They're so much faster. I just feel like against them, they just can't keep up with their pace. Like the Bucks are a fast-paced moving team, but the Pacers are just faster. It doesn't matter who the players are. If you outrun them, I feel like that's why they're giving up so much pain points. Is everyone's faster than Brook Lopez, I feel like, at this point. And once you're past him, it's like, that's it. There you go. There's your basket. And I don't know, because they're giving up like 50 to 60 points in the paint. I feel like, and it's never ending. It just keeps going. Brook tries to contest once, and then they swing right by him, and it's game over from there. Yeah, I don't. The pain points is atrocious, and I just feel like there's nothing happening to somewhat lower that from happening in, like, whether it's that game or the next game. I just feel like there's no adjustments to any of this, and it's just like, let's hope they miss and hope we make the shot. I feel like that's the game plan for all these games, where it's, well, if we give them this many shots, hopefully they miss a bunch of them, and then ours hopefully go in more than theirs. And it's like, go do that now. I feel like that's the whole game plan.
And it sucks for talking about this because Milwaukee is, I don't know what the record is right now. It reads 24-10. I could be 100% wrong on that.
25-12 after
25-12. Okay, it was probably 24-10 when they were when this game occurred. But they're 25-12, and we're talking, and we're talking all this stuff about the concern, and there's been a lot of concern for Milwaukee this year, mainly on the defensive side. And I'll say it before and I'll say it again. Milwaukee lost a lot of defense when they decided to get rid of Drew Holiday, which, if you had to put a gun to my head, I would have made that trade again. You need to upgrade at the point guard position. Damian Lillard is for sure that guy. Okay. You got rid of Javon Carter, which, again, he got a bag. You're not going to overpay for Javon Carter, so that's understandable. But then it's just like, but then it feels like a guy like Malik Beasley he's really playing a new role where Adrian Griffin's trying to convince all of us, oh, yeah, no, Malik Beasley, he's going to be our Drew Holiday, where he's going to guard the opposing team's best wing player or their best player. And I'm just like, why? What's the reason for that? I don't think, first of all, Malik Beasley even said so himself in that Bleacher Report interview with Chris Haynes last week. He's never played a role like that before. So that's a new role for him. And then it's just like, and then John Horst also promised Malik Beasley, hey, if you sign with us, you're going to come in, start, and win a championship. But, Malik Beasley is very much a hit or miss guy. And, I think we thought like a guy like Marjan would kind of slide into that role. So you can't really convince me that Malik Beasley is this lockdown defender and, he's going to, if they face the Heat in the playoffs, he's going to shut down Jimmy Butler and all those other guys. It's just like, no, you're not going to convince me of that.
I don't know. Not knowing a lot of him from the past, like with the Lakers and the Timberwolves and stuff, but being a lockdown defender would not have been my go-to for him. I just feel like they got him for his three-point shooting because that's all I knew him for, being one of the top three-point percent shooters and just overall total three-pointers made in each season. But yeah, if you're coming in to be the guy to guard Tyrese Haliburton, you're going to get cooked 9 out of 10 times. There's going to be one day where maybe you do a little better than the player you're defending, but let's be real, it's not going to happen. And I feel like as that role, he kind of got, I wouldn't blame him for it. He just kind of got the short end of the stick and is doing something completely new when you have high expectations on being a championship caliber team, and now it's like, all right, go get this 24-year-old, like, good luck, or 23-year-old, even at this point, 22-year-old. It's like these guys that are way younger, way faster. I don't know. I gotta feel bad, but I feel like that should not be his role. He's so much more of a shooter than he is defender, obviously. But I don't know. It's one of those things where is there not anyone else who can potentially do that more than be an offensive side? Like, keep him offensively, find someone else for that defensive aspect.
The other concerning part about the matchups against the Pacers, it seems like they have no answer for how to guard Tyrese Haliburton. None. They haven't shut him down once. They haven't thrown a double team at him. And it's just like when I look at the Pacers role players, it's like, okay, Nesmith, you got, Jalen Smith, and like Miles Turner is good, and then you got Bruce Brown, Obi Toppin, Matherin, TJ McConnell. These aren't game breakers here.
No.
So it's just like Tyrese, like, and this is such a Milwaukee Bucks thing where it's just like, oh, let the one-star player just go off. It's like you could lock down Tyrese Haliburton, hedge on him, like maybe throw a double team at him. I know he's a good passer, but if you're the Bucks, wouldn't you rather have somebody else beat you than Tyrese Haliburton?
Mm-hmm. Every time.
Every single time.
Lose to the team, not one player, and then it's
I mean, if TJ McConnell scores 20, I'll live with that. But like, it's Haliburton. It was Haliburton the game before and Haliburton, the game after. It's just like, and I get it. Miles Turner is a good player, but I don't know. I guess I'd rather have Miles Turner go off against Milwaukee versus Tyrese Haliburton.
Yeah, I would too.
Jesus. And look, don't get me wrong. Haliburton's a very talented player, but like he's their one good player.
Yeah, we know who's going to be the main ball handler. We know who's going to be scoring for the most on them. It's like nothing's done to try to stop him.
and real quick on Haliburton, obviously, as you guys saw the other day, he got hurt.
Yep.
I believe it is a grade 1 hamstring strain.
He did the splits that looked painful.
Okay. So, just prayers up for him. Obviously, I hope he's out there soon, because I think he was on his way to go into the All-Star game.
Yeah, starting, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if he's a star yet. He might be considered underrated just because of the place he plays. Mm-hmm. But it just sucks when like injuries happen like that to players kind of on their career years. So, like I said, I hope he gets better soon, and I hope he recovers quickly. God, that always happens to the Pacers too. Every time their players are like on like an all-star track, they just always get hit. That happened to Oladipo a few years ago.
Yeah, in the peak of their season too, where it's like he's had those 2020 games, and now it's happened at the worst time.
Happened to Paul George too. I mean, God, the Pacers are like such a good basketball state. Like it's the basketball state. When you talk about Hoosiers and Indiana University and Bob Knight, like that's such a good basketball state. And it feels like, and they've had good basketball players, even throwing Larry Bird. Like, it's just, like, it sucks. Like, how they kind of always get stricken with this bad luck at some point. Because, it's a good fan base. It's a good basketball state. So, that's kind of the part where I kind of feel bad. I don't know. Outside of that for this game, there really wasn't much to write home about.
No.
It was Antetokounmpo and 26, Lillard 23, Lopez 16, and then everybody else just kind of, I don't know, just put up triple singles. It just wasn't good. So, moving on to the next game.
Ooh, our win.
The highly anticipated TNT matchup last week against the San Antonio Spurs. Wemby against Giannis. First of all, I was like, how big this game was when the Spurs are like 5-29 and they're on TNT. because it's Wemby and Giannis. Like you can't ask for better TV than that. And even not only was it on national television, Evan, they had their A-list people announcing it. Kevin Harlan, Reggie Miller. Like that's an A-list game for them. So that was pretty crazy, but Milwaukee was obviously able to pull out the win. 125 to 121. And a couple of thoughts I come away from watching this game. Like, first of all, it is nice to see when star players go back and forth.
Mm-hmm. It was a good game. Obviously, you don't want to lose to the team with 5 wins, but I can't complain about the matchup. That was good.
And my first time watching Wemby, I was like, oh my God. Some of the things this guy does, he is not human. I even texted you after one of the moves he did.
Yeah.
Where it was between the legs, he dunked on Brook Lopez. I was like, holy shit, this guy's not human.
Yeah, he went between the legs, spun around, and posted Brook in like a second.
Like, people are acting like just any average NBA player could do that. Oh, no. No, that's unicorn shit right there. Like, being that tall and doing that and then dunking on the tallest player. Like, I was like, oh my God. And it was so unlike a Giannis dunk because Giannis did have a dunk where he kind of to close the game out a little bit. Just posterize someone. It's just like, oh shit. But that Wemby move where he went between the legs and he just dunked on someone, I was like, oh my God, this guy is.
He had 3 highlight plays that game. He had that one. He had the off the backboard dunk and the block on Giannis.
Okay, yeah, the block on Giannis was sick because there was not many humans on the planet that does that to Giannis. Like, you know, when Giannis gets 2 feet in the paint and he goes up with it, that's an automatic 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Giannis tried to dunk it on him and Wemby cleanly blocked it, it was wow. That was a good block.
Again, you hate to see it on your own team, but you got to give credit where credit is earned. And he put on a show. It's just Giannis hit 2 threes, so we won.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. I love the Bucks. Don't get me wrong. I'm obviously like one of the biggest fans, but I don't know. Sometimes like I'm kind of fine when Giannis gets got because it's just like I don't know. Once in a while, I do kind of want to see that where it's like either Giannis getting got or if LeBron gets crossed over.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. Sometimes I kind of enjoy seeing it. Like on my Instagram page, I just posted a highlight of Jeff Green dunking on Giannis from last year. And I'm just like, okay, you got to admit, like a guy and we'll talk about Jeff Green in a little bit. You got to admit, a guy in his mid-30s dunking on Giannis, like you got to admit that was impressive.
Yeah.
Like doing that, like it's not as impressive as when Jaylen Brown did it to him, but like when Jeff Green did it to him, I was like, oh, that was okay.
Yeah, when someone has no reason to be doing that, does it?
That's true. But no, it was a good show. It was a great show for these two teams. And, Giannis dropped at 44, Lillard dropped at 25, and nobody else really scored. It was basically
it was. I looked at whenever I look at the highlights in the box scores, I usually go to ESPN or NBA. This one was Fox Sports, and it had the bench score totaled up. Yeah, the bench had 25 points, and the starters had 100 for the 125 score, and primarily it was Giannis and Lillard. But yeah, it's been very lopsided these last few games. We'll obviously talk about that in the Rockets game, but yeah, the Giannis really carried the load, and no one else besides Damian Lillard did anything when it came to scoring. Yeah, had a couple in double digits, but 10 and 12. It wasn't 19 or 20, anything like that. But yeah, it was just a game, I think, of back and forth. That was the entire game. I score, oh, you score. I score, you score. It was just trading off until the last few minutes where Bucks kind of got lucky with some go-ahead shots from Giannis, and then the Spurs kind of had a few chances to tie it up or bring it within 1 or 2, and they just couldn't hit the wide open threes. I know they had a wide open 3 at the end of the game to tie it up and just bricked it. So, yeah, it was a good game, just back and forth.
The one guy, and we talk about Wemby, okay? The one guy Milwaukee really couldn't stop was Devin Vassell.
Yeah,
that guy was hot like the whole game. It felt like.
Yeah, where did he go? Yeah, he had 34 points.
he got it going. Like Wemby scored 27, which is impressive, but damn, number 24 from the Spurs, we could not.
Yeah, he averaging 18 a game. So like again, pretty decent, but then yeah, we practically double his average, which again, as a Bucks thing to do. But one thing I think Wembanyama would be a lot better. Obviously, here it is coming from me. I know everything, but like they talked about him shooting like 27% from 3. He just kept shooting them, and I felt like it was like just go to the hoop. I mean, he can hit a 3. I feel like probably better than Giannis could, but it was like in the first 2 minutes he was already over 4, and he missed like 8 3-pointers or shot 8 3-pointers. It was like just go to the hoop, dude. You could have 6 or 7 more points by doing that. But that was one of the things where it's like, yeah, and he shoots it again. Yep, got another one. But yeah, that was a good matchup. That's all I really got. It was just a back and forth game. Our only win in the last 4 games, so I'll take it at this point. But yeah, it was the matchup everyone wanted.
Evan, it's the new age. Okay, it's the new age. Every tall guy thinks he can shoot. Okay,
I want to shoot 3s too.
Like, what I don't understand is, like, I sometimes I understand, like, okay, sometimes you just can't get to the hoop. Like, maybe sometimes Giannis can't get to the hoop. But, like, don't they know that, like, if it's not working, just drive and, like, draw a foul and get 2 easy free throws?
Yeah.
I mean, why do you have to bail out the defense? Not, like, Giannis is 2 threes. I'm not expecting those the rest of the season. That was a 1 in a million thing where Giannis hits 2 threes like that. I don't know how it happened. And I don't know how this man will take any shot. It does not matter if it we were down 3 and he took a 3.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we doing? And then he made I'm like, okay.
And then he made another clutch 3 to put him up 3.
It's like
it is crazy. That game, like when you think about it, that game was nuts because down the stretch, like it wasn't Lillard that was taking those shots. Lillard made 1 deep 3 earlier in the game.
Yeah.
It was Giannis. That's crazy.
The Bucks only made 12 3-pointers that game, and Giannis had 2 of them in like crunch time to tie it and put him ahead in like back-to-back possessions.
That was bad shit about how that went down, about how Giannis just like made like 2 clutch 3s. And then Wemby actually like tied the game.
Yep, with a 3. Like the 2 that he had.
It's crazy.
One of them had to tie the game late in the game.
But I will say 2 negatives about Wembanyama that I noticed. Okay? Because Giannis did expose him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's not strong enough yet. Like when you look at it, like when Giannis drove in on Wemby, he like kind of knocked him off his feet and like easy layup. So he doesn't have he's tall,
but he doesn't have the strength.
He's not strong yet. Like, which again is to be expected because he's literally just getting the NBA. It probably took Giannis about, I don't know, what would you say, 6-7 years in the league before he was like, oh God, this guy, don't mess with this guy. Yeah,
I would say at least 5 years. That 1 year where he just came back like yoked as hell.
And again, I'm not saying this is a criticism of Wemby because it takes time to develop your body into that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people were talking about Chet Holmgren. He's way too skinny. Does he eat anything? It's just like, no. It takes time for your body to develop.
Especially when you're that tall.
Okay? Like, I'm not an NBA player, but as someone with like a really high metabolism, like, I work out a lot, but but I'm not going to look like Giannis because it's just like it takes a while. Like nobody wakes up yoked like that.
Yep.
Like he has to basically live in the gym. And the other thing too, he doesn't have very good lateral quickness. I saw there was a play where Lillard like kind of drove past him and like kind of made like a really easy layup. His lateral quickness isn't there yet, which again, he's really tall, so I didn't expect it to be. He's a unicorn in some sense, but I think quicker guards, I think that's one of the things he's probably going to struggle with.
Yeah, I feel like it's just one of those things where he's so tall, where I feel like every tall person like that, because Giannis is tall, he's 6'11", but I think Wembanyama like 7'3". Same with Chet Holmgren too. It's one of those things where he could eat thousands of calories. He could be working out hours a day, multiple times a week. He got these professional weight trainers, and yeah, you never know what's going to happen. It'll definitely take a while, but at least he can show one side that just because he has height doesn't mean he's going to be good. But he definitely has shown me personally after watching that game that he has the potential to be really good in the league. But yeah, it'll take a little time. He's still a rookie, still getting new. He's like, what, 19? He just turned 19 too. So yeah, he's not even 20 years old yet.
Hey, thank God he didn't get.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, hey, thank God he didn't get drafted by the Pelicans. Hey,
he'd be feasting.
Well, I mean, y'all Zion is right now.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That was low hanging fruit. I'm sorry. Okay, but here's the thing: he's the number 1 overall pick. Okay, yes. He's been in the league for 4 years. You can't still weigh that much.
No.
How are you still weighing that much?
You got to play. Yeah.
This is not. And here's the thing: this is not me fat shaming him, but I'm asking a simple question: you make millions of dollars. Charles Barkley's right. You make millions of dollars. You have the top trainers in the world. You cannot be that overweight. I'm sorry. You can't lumber up and down the court. It doesn't work. Like, you're putting your stress on everything else in your lower extremities. That's all I'm saying. I'm thinking about that, what Charles Barkley used to say about San Antonio women.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's not nice. It's not nice because you know what? Texas doesn't. San Antonio doesn't. I feel like it has good food down there.
Yeah, everything's bigger in Texas.
Oh, absolutely. So, moving on. Moving on. We'll try to get this podcast back on track. So, Milwaukee played another road game, staying in Texas this time, against the Houston Rockets last Saturday. Lost that game 112-108. And really watching that game, that final score was not indicative of how that game was because Houston led by a lot for most of the game. Milwaukee, I'm going to be honest, it really didn't seem like they were in striking distance. And, it was kind of the same thing. Random guy goes off against him. Cam Whitmore, rookie from Villanova. Jalen Green. Sengun, is that how you pronounce it?
Sengun. I think it is.
Fred VanVleet hit a couple shots. Jeff Green hit a couple of shots. So I just, what did you take away from Milwaukee's game against Houston?
This was the bench, I think, is one of their biggest issues right now. Their bench is playing so bad. Like we were talking the last game, 125 points. Your starters had 100 points and your bench at 25. This game we had 10, 21, 22 points from your bench, 9 being the most from Pat. It's got to be better than that. I mean, we're not saying that the bench needs to be scoring like 50 plus points, but to have some of these guys playing, I will take the top three. We'll go Bobby with 17, Marjan with 23, and Pat at 19 to have 20 points right there. Yeah, 20 points between the three of them. And then you have 2 more points from 2 other guys. It's not good, and it's holding them back because there's so many times where either the Bucks are up and then they bring in their bench guys and then they give the lead right back up because the Bucks can't score anymore, and then they go on a 9-0 run in a minute and a half. But yeah, the bench has been slacking tremendously the last few games, including the next game as well, but also in games prior as well throughout the season. But yeah, it's not helping at all. Malik Beasley is having one of those games where he just doesn't shoot the ball at all. He had 1 basket, 1 for 1 on a 3-pointer. Brook had 7 points in 31 minutes. Not saying that he needs to be scoring 20 plus, but he took 9 shots and only had 7 points. It was literally a Giannis game, and they lost. Giannis had an insane stat line: 48 points, 17 rebounds, 16 of 25 shooting, 15 of 21 from free throw. You got a 3-pointer that he somehow made, and a block as well, and lowered his turnovers. He only had 2 turnovers, but it was bad. Like how you said, only losing 4 points really irritates me, because then you look back and it's like, oh, it's one of those kinds of games. Well, if Lillard would have made 3 more free throws and Bobby would have made 1 more shot, it's one of those kinds of games where you nitpick it, and I'd rather get blown out than lose by 4 points, me personally, just because then you can't pick out the little small things that could have won you the game. But yeah, it was a Giannis game and no one else did anything. That's personally how I take it. Lillard 18 points, but besides that, yeah, it was a atrocious game.
Yeah, and 99% of the NBA games, if the scoring isn't balanced, you're probably going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because when I'm looking at the stat line for the Houston Rockets, they had 7 guys in double figures. Okay, 7 guys had over at least 10 points. Okay, it's a little indicative of the fact that Giannis scored 48 points, which, by the way, I didn't even realize, because I don't think anybody cares.
Yeah.
Okay, Giannis scored 48 points in a loss.
Mm-hmm.
That, I don't care. I really don't care about Giannis scoring 48 points, because number one, he's the only guy who could kind of put together a game like that. I mean, Lillard could, but it's just we talked about this early in the season. We don't want Giannis to have games like that.
Yeah.
If nobody else is doing anything. Where it's just oh, well, Giannis, you could go 50, but the next closest guy is 15. That's a concern. It is, because we've seen so many times where Giannis have games like that. Okay? But now it's just everything's going to be looked at a microscope, where it's okay, Giannis had 50, but what did anybody else do? Okay? It's kind of like when you work a job and you have one guy that's doing everything, and you have everybody else just kind of slacking behind, chilling.
I'll chip in a little bit.
A chip, what the, and you're right about the bench. I don't know what this is. Marjan 5, Pat Connaughton 9, Bobby Portis 6, Andre Jackson 1, Campaign 1. I mean, nobody really did anything. And Middleton, and I will say this about Middleton. In the past few games, he's kind of looked like his old self.
Yeah,
he's getting back to that level. I mean, he didn't play again in this game, but he's been kind of getting back to that level of looking like Chris Middleton again. So that is a positive sign. But I mean, I don't. Jesus, it's just I like the fact Giannis scored 48. I don't like it about the fact that it ended in a loss.
Yeah,
I don't like the fact that nobody else really did anything.
I'd rather win and have Giannis score 10 than watch Giannis almost have a 50-20 game and lose. Personally, I'd rather win.
And here's the problem. And here's the problem with that with Adrian Griffin. It's just been too many times this year where, especially on the road, he just hasn't gotten them ready.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't, they haven't been ready. They've come out sluggish. They've come out slow. They've dug themselves in these big ass holes, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, here come the Bucks in the fourth quarter. They only lost by 5. But why did they have to dig themselves in the hole in the first place?
That was my complaint for the next game. But yeah, you look at this game and the upcoming game when we talk about it. Their first halves are horrible. Where it's like, oh yeah, they scored 44 in the third quarter, but too bad they were down by 27 at one point, and it's like it doesn't balance out because obviously the other team is going to still score their points, so their lead is sure it's trimmed down a little bit, but you already did the damage to yourself in the first half, and now it's not even worth trying to come back. Where sure you bring it back to 7, then you drop it right back down to 18. It was like whoop-de-doo, like that was cool while it lasted, and it's like there's no point in doing that. But yeah, scoring 18 in the first quarter and 25 in the second quarter, like I thought the Jazz first half was bad, but like 18, come on. It's at that point it's just I don't even know how to say it. It's just not good basketball for a team at this caliber. Now, if it were a different team where it's like they're not high scorers, I would understand that. But we've seen people on the Bucks score 18 in a quarter themselves. Now, I'm not saying that's something that happens all the time, but it's been done before. But yeah, to score 18 points in 12 minutes is not acceptable, I feel like, at this point, especially in the first quarter where like that is portraying how you're going to play the rest of the game. If you have a horrible first quarter and a horrible second quarter, you most likely will not win the game. It's that simple. It's math. I don't like math, but that math makes sense to me.
Yeah, and the thing is like Milwaukee always claws their way back against like bad teams.
Yep.
Like they're Milwaukee cut it to 4. Well,
and then you blink and they're down by 13 again. It's like that was fun while it lasted.
I mean, it's so like they're having to expend so much energy to just get back in the game that it's just like they're just coming out in the first 2 quarters flat, like not ready to go, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what Adrian Griffin says. I don't know if he gives them like the Looney Tunes juice. Okay, where all of a sudden, oh, here comes Milwaukee, and they had to do this against Portland earlier this year, and it's just.
They even did it against the Pistons.
For God's sakes, they're playing down to their competition. And I wish they would stop because it's like I know they're a better team than this.
Yeah.
But it's disappointing to watch sometimes. So you got anything else on this game before I move on to the next one?
No, let's just be more disappointed in the next one.
Okay. All right. Yep. Let's do it. So Monday nights. They faced off against the Utah Jazz. Everybody's thinking, all right, Utah's not very good this year. A little under 500. Like, who do they really have?
Back at home,
back at home. Giannis, Lillard missed the game due to personal reasons. So I was like, all right, we kind of knew it going in that Lillard wasn't going to play. But all right, they still got Middleton. Okay, they still got Giannis. They still got Brook Lopez. So all those guys.
It's basically what you're saying is clearly they blew them out, right?
Well, not quite.
Okay.
They got down pretty quickly in the first couple quarters. Then they had to claw their way back, and they still lost. So, Evan, go ahead. What did you see from this game?
Okay, this was. I did not get to watch a lot of the Rockets game because I had to work a hockey game. So I got to watch what I could at the bar that we went to after. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty bad game. And then it's like, okay, we're back at home against the Jazz, like you said. The Jazz are not good away. They're under 500 just overall. Obviously, no Lillard. Now, having no Damian Lillard does not mean where it's like, oh, no, like I don't know if we're going to win or not. Where it's like, I'm getting a little nervous. Holy crap, this was one of the most pathetically played games I've ever seen in the last, probably since Giannis has been on the team. Okay, let me cut back a little bit on that one. Maybe in the last, I don't know, 6 years or so, this was one of the worst games I've watched. It was lazy. It was that, I think that's my main word I'm going to stick with. It was the most laziest played basketball game I've ever seen them play in quite a while. They played so slow where it's like you might as well not even play and just throw all the bench guys in after the first quarter, seeing how some of these guys played. It was I saw a post that I had to save, and I was going to mention it too, and then someone brought it up where like I'm watching plays and it's like that's why I would start booing. And the fans booed and I'm like, "Yes, boo. Please boo." I'm usually so like I feel like teams are afraid to boo their own team, but it's like they didn't come here to I should say like you're not going to win every game. But it's like if you lose because of how you were playing so lazily, is that a word? Lazy? I don't know. So lazy. Boo. They scored 23 points in the first and second quarter. I screened or I saved the one post. It was, and it's funny because this is the post that I watched where it's like, that is why you should boo. Lauri Markkanen, the one possession, took a 3-point shot from the left wing and it hit the side of the rim. He got his own rebound on the baseline and then shot another 3-pointer. Missed it. Kelly Olynyk got the rebound and made a layup. They gave up 2 offensive rebounds off of 2 brick-ass 3-pointers, and then they reward them. It's like they haven't so many times, not just this game, but other games too, they reward a atrociously offensive play and give them 2 points. Or they let him get offensive rebounds. I know in one of the Pacers games, they had a brick 3-pointer, and then they give up the rebound, and then they miss the shot again, and then they get the rebound again. It's like box out. Like no one's boxing out. It was like Brook Lopez is standing there, and Lauri Markkanen, it's like, oh, here's the ball that I just shot and missed. I just ran 15 feet for. Jordan Clarkson did the same thing where it's like guys are shooting 3-pointers and are getting their own rebounds in the restricted zone. Why is that happening multiple times? Sure, it'll happen maybe once in a while, but it's happening multiple times a game to different players in the same possession too. It's, I don't know. It was so lazy. And then all of a sudden here comes the third quarter and they scored 44 points. It's like they scored as much in the third quarter as they did in the first half. It's like, what the hell is going on? And then it's like, oh, it's a 7-point game. And you blink, oh, now they're down 18 again and they lost. It's like you get your hopes up. You maybe think maybe they could come back and win. And then, boom, they suck ass again. Malik Beasley, before you go, Malik Beasley shot 5 for 8 from 3-pointer and came out hot in the third quarter. Hit like 3 in a row, or 3 of 4, or 3 of 5, and then like sat the whole fourth quarter. It's like AJ Griffin. He was hot as hell. Put him in. But like they were going defensively, hoping that they could stop him and then just score because that was the game plan. It's like, come on, what are we doing? Why are we defensively? Why are we doing that? But I will say, out of one positive thing, if you know me, I love to cheer for the underdogs, the rookies. Chris Livingston, holy shit, dude. He actually looked kind of nice. And I like all the rookies, or like the guys who I know are not going to play a lot, because then when they do and they have good games, it's like kind of rewarding, like DJ Wilson, Rashad Vaughn, all those guys I really liked. Chris Livingston's one of those guys that I hope would play more because, again, you know his potential. They just threw him in the third quarter, and he looked productive. His stat, where did it go? He had 6 points, but he made his free throws that he had. He had 2 shots right under the restricted zone, 15 minutes, quality game, a steal. Like, he looked like he wanted to be out there, and he was trying as hard as he could to try to get them back in the game as they're down 34. And I don't know. I think he deserves kind of potential minutes. Now, will he? Probably not. But I don't know. He looked really good. He looked like he wanted to play. No matter the situation, they weren't up 30. They were down 30. And I feel like the score didn't matter to him. He just wanted to show his potential. And I felt like he did a great job of that 15 minutes, scoring-wise or not. Okay.
You did say you wanted to rant on the podcast, so I thought I'd give you the free reign. But yeah, it was 77-46 at halftime. Yeah, it wasn't a good game, and I'll admit I missed part of the game because I was also I was oscillating between watching the Bucks game and the national championship game.
Oh,
It wasn't good,
good.
but I will say this: Bobby Portis got us back in that game. Like his shot making, and the fact that he just went at Kelly
Olynyk. They had like 3 fouls combined in like 4 possessions.
Oh my god, yeah, he went at Bobby Portis. Well, the last foul on Kelly Olynyk was bullshit.
Yeah,
I will say that was not a foul at all.
He pushed him, and Bobby gets it. Yeah, that was wild.
That was insane. But yeah, it wasn't like Milwaukee just didn't play good defense in that game. They cut the I'm trying to think of a way to say this. They cut the lead down, but I just felt like Utah they just weren't going to blow that lead. Like they were within striking distance, but like Utah was just making way too many shots. They were hot that game.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just like, can I really name a lot of people on the Jazz roster outside of Lauri Markkanen? Probably not. Like when I look at this, Chris Dunn had 13 assists. Chris Dunn.
I didn't even notice that.
That is insane. The fact that Chris Dunn, I get it, NBA player, but he's a team-to-team guy. He's a journeyman guard at this point in his career.
Yeah, best known for being the Bulls, but I didn't even know he was still in the league, to be honest.
He had 13 assists. Jordan Clarkson, good player, 21 points. Cavante George, 19. I've never even heard of him before this game. Colin Sexton, 19. Lauri Markkanen, 19. John Collins, 19. So, and we've all heard of John Collins. But Kelly Olynyk, 13. What the hell? What? Like, it makes sense why they lost by 16. Like, who are these random-ass players outside of Jordan Clarkson scoring? And Markkanen, if you want to throw him in there. He's an all-star now, so he's not random, but it's just like, John Collins.
MVP, the next MVP.
I mean, what the hell, man? And honestly, they were under 500.
Yeah.
They are under 500. You can't lose like that at home to the Utah Jazz. That's where concern starts to creep in, where it's just like, we look like that without Damian Lillard in there?
Yeah, and
that would make me think that this team is way too top heavy. Because if we look like that with just missing Damian Lillard, like the John Horst got to make some moves at the deadline.
Yeah.
And granted, Jay Crowder should be coming back soon, but that's not enough.
Yeah. You'll get some threes out of him, a little bit of defense, but it's not like game changing, like he is back.
No, we need to get some defenders. Like we gotta beef up this bench a little bit.
Yeah, one of the other things I forgot to mention earlier too was the Jazz average about 27 or 28% from 3. And I think they make an average of 13 3-pointers a game. They made 11 in the first quarter. 11. They had 41 points in the first quarter, and 33 of them were 3-pointers. It's like, cool, let's set records. Who else but the Bucks to do that? But yeah, they shot 45% from 3 on a 27% average team. Now, again, could they average or get like 35%? Sure. But to almost double their I wouldn't say almost double, but add 20% more, it's not good. They weren't guarding the 3. They weren't guarding anyone, to be honest. So I'll start there. But yeah, that was a shit show.
It was. They made 23s. They made 20. You said 11 in the first quarter.
Yep.
23s by the Utah Jazz. How many 3-point shooters do they really have on that roster?
I mean, Kelly Olynyk was 2 for 2. Yeah, everyone had at least one except two guys. One of them didn't even take a shot, and the other one only took one.
Yeah. See, now that would concern me because it just feels like we're trying to do this like weird like blitzing trap defense or whatever it is. And it's just like I get it. You know, under Coach Boonhoser, they gave up their fair share of 3-point attempts, but now it's just now it feels like it's kind of ratcheted up a little bit where it's just like they're getting wide open looks.
Yeah, it's not even. There are plays where it's like, is anyone going to guard him? Are we going to? Oh, nope. We'll just let him shoot it and get his own rebound. Yep. It's like just like little drills that they're doing on some of these games where some of these guys are getting 2 shots of possession where it's like, cool, here's it again. Go try it again. Here, let me pass it right back to you. I don't know, man. That was just a pathetic game from the Bucks. Their third quarter, sure, they scored 44 points, but yeah, I don't. That was a thing. That was a game.
And you know what makes me even more sad is the fact that it really doesn't get any easier because, you know, tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. They had an easy 4 games. I wouldn't say easy. But yeah, they had they had the Pacers, the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Jazz in a 4-game. You easily should have gone 3 for 1. You should have beat the Spurs. You should have beat the Rockets. You should have beat the Jazz. Now, and you're saying now we play the Celtics, the Warriors, the Kings, and the Cavs.
Those are not easy. None of those are easy. Like it.
We'll be lucky to go 2-2.
True primetime, and the other thing too, we had 2 primetime games. Which you know how Milwaukee plays in primetime. Not always the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. They're not. They don't always play well, and God forbid they haven't played well against Boston.
No.
So I'm concerned for the next 2 games because I don't care how the Warriors are. They're still the freaking Warriors.
Yeah, you never know. One Curry's going to drop 78 3-pointers.
Right. I mean, we remember that primetime game, like that Steph Curry vintage ass game he played against Milwaukee last year. I remember. I didn't forget about that. That weird. That they blocked Drew Holiday. I was like, God, what the hell? What is this game's like crack? So. Got anything else on this game before I move on to our last 2 topics?
No, I got my fair due of rants, I should say.
So, to close out the show, last 2 topics here. So, earlier this week, Milwaukee released a couple of their 2-way guys. Lindell Wigginton, your guy.
I love Lindell. R.I.P.
And Marquise Bolden, who didn't really have a role on the Bucks. He was strictly like a G League player.
Yeah.
Technically on the roster. So, yeah, John Horst made the move to get rid of those 2 guys. Everybody seems to think that John Horst has a swing in him where he's clearing up 2 roster spots. What do you think? Do you think this is like John Horst is going to make a big trade, or do you think Milwaukee is probably just going to sign like free agents? Because here's the thing. Last week, they did have like a veteran workout of sorts that involved Glenn Robinson III. So I'm curious if you think that if this is just a trade from Milwaukee, or if this is just like probably get like a couple of veteran players, like just a couple another, just a couple more 2-way guys.
I feel like it'll be 2-way guys. Realistically, I mean, I feel like if they were to make a trade, I feel like there would be more rumors like around it more. Because usually you see they're still in contention of talking about Alex Caruso or Marcus Smart or whoever they're eyeing. But I feel like I haven't seen that a lot from like legitimate like reporters, I should say. It was more like lower or like, oh, Bucks should look at this person, and then it kind of goes viral. But I feel like they're not going to make a trade. I saw a quote, I forgot to save it, but Malik Beasley was saying that he doesn't think anyone should be traded. Like, he feels like they should ride out with who they have. But it's like that kind of show that you're willing to do that because by how you guys are playing, you look like shit. But yeah, I feel like it'll be maybe like a free agent signing or potential 2-way guys. But would I like a trade? Yes, but like there's some guys who it's like I'm iffy to give up at this point in the season.
And if Malik Beasley said that, it's kind of one of those things where he kind of has to say that because he's not going to sit there and be like,
Oh
well,
yeah,
I know a couple guys who should be traded.
yeah.
Thanasa should get traded, or or Cameron Payne. Like, I think you as a player, you're gonna say, like, I don't think players really ever advocate to be like, yeah, oh no, these guys should be traded. I think it's kind of one of those things where that's where you kind of have to leave it up to the general manager, because that's kind of the risk of like players who kind of get involved in personnel decisions, because then if you have a personal relationship with that guy, then it can kind of cloud your judgment of here's an example. Okay, say if Giannis were kind of like LeBron, where he's kind of driving the personnel decisions. John Horst goes to him and he goes, "Hey, Giannis, what do you think about trading Bobby Portis?" "Oh no, you can't trade Bobby. Can't trade Bobby." But Giannis. But here's the thing: he's not very playable in the playoffs. No, I don't care. He's very important to this city.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's like the CEO of Bucks trader, Nathan Marziano, I hope I pronounced his name right.
Yep.
He's kind of pushed to trade Bobby Portis. And, as I wrote out an article last week, I'm like, he might actually be right. Because the thing is I get it. Yeah, Bobby Portis is important to the city, but at the same time, he hasn't been playable in the playoffs. He hasn't had, his last two playoffs haven't been very good.
Yeah, since his first year of the finals run it.
Yeah, exactly. It hasn't been I get it. He brings energy and Bobby, and all that stuff. I get that. But but you kind of have to do what's best for the organization. And that's why players just shouldn't get involved in personnel decisions, because if you have personal relationships with one or two players who are expendable, then that could kind of hurt your team and hurt your chances of winning a championship.
Yeah, I know Giannis is close. I feel like Giannis is close with a lot of those guys. Because you see reuniting, and he'll I was a huge Mamadi Diakite fan. And I know Giannis is good friends with him, because every time that they would play each other, he would always talking to them. The All-Star game, he would always come up to him and talk to him. But it's that this guy could just be let go at any second or traded. But yeah, he'd even have a lot of say in the Drew trade, just because you get so close to these guys, and you don't want to be the reason basically that this person leaves. Is I think their main reason I guess kind of go for. But yeah.
One final topic, because I've seen this discourse. There's been a lot of criticism kind of lobbed away of Adrian Griffin. Okay. Some points, understandably so. Some points, Bucks fans are kind of spoiled. Okay. Because we talked about this before the podcast started, is that there's a lot of Bucks fans who it feels like they've only been fans since really 2018. So anytime they have so they're not used to losing. And anytime they lose, it's, oh, the sky is falling, and I'll fire this guy. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, you guys are so damn spoiled. Me and Evan here watched 10 years of mediocre basketball where we were lucky to even get a 6th seed. And all of a sudden, Adrian Griffin struggles a little bit and having a winning record. All of a sudden, everybody's just like, oh, no, we should fire him. We got to fire him. So I wanted to ask you this question. Do you think it is quite possible that Adrian Griffin gets fired in the middle of the season?
No. And I feel like if they were to fire him at any point in his tenure with the Bucks, I shouldn't even say tenure, it's just his time with the Bucks, it would be during the offseason. I feel like the Jason Kidd situation, I feel like, was a little different, but they weren't going to be doing too much like that season just in general, where it kind of made sense. Now, if the Bucks were like 10-25 or it like where they were just very, very bad, like we're talking 10 to 15 seed, yeah, probably. But no, you still have the second best record in the league. No, it would be. I have thoughts on Adrian Griffin just kind of overall as a coach and how he's been dealing with some of the things, but to fire him now, I think that would just be a little silly.
And see, this is a problem with today's like society and today's world. Everybody just wants instant gratification. Okay, nobody wants to wait for anything. If you have a couple bad games, oh my God, he sucks, we should fire him. Like, you got to let things develop. That's the problem. Nobody lets anything develop. Okay, It just feels like if they don't get instant gratification, or if they don't win all the time, or if they go through a rough stretch, no, we need to start calling for people's jobs. You know how irrational that sounds? Okay, like wait. That's a problem. People don't want to wait. Like everybody watches every game is just firing off their takes on Twitter, and it's just, oh, he should be fired in the middle of the season. Okay, Adrian Griffin's not a good coach. You have to let him develop. Okay, you have to let him make his own mistakes. Joe Mazzulla made his own mistakes with Boston. Okay, I'm sure Nick Nurse made his. Every coach who's ever coached in the NBA in his first or second year, like, has struggled at some point. So you just gotta wait things out sometimes, and people hate to do that. They hate it when you say that because it's just like,
I want it now.
It's like I'm not being a true. No, I'm trying to be realistic. Okay, I'm not gonna be firing everything about like, oh, Griffin sucks, we should fire him. It's his first year. You gotta wait a little bit.
Yeah, it's not even halfway through the season yet.
No, and like, look, I get it. We're gonna be a little more harder on Adrian Griffin, but this isn't how indicative he is as a coach, because from every standpoint, it feels like he has the respect of the locker room. Okay, it feels like guys like playing for him. So, and again, I don't know because I'm not in that locker room. Maybe there could be like a story that comes out from The Athletic with Shams and Eric Name, where they're like, oh no, sources said, him and Giannis got into an argument in like some crappy road game against Charlotte that soured the relationship. But you just gotta, let things develop. Okay. And again, I understand it's hard for people to say that, but sports and life are kind of the same thing. Okay. I'm not saying he's bad at his job, but like, if you get someone who makes a few mistakes, you're going to think, oh, this guy sucks, we should fire him, he's incompetent.
Yeah.
It's like, if you tell him what he's doing wrong, then you let him fix it. Okay. Let him keep showing up, try his best. Then it's like, oh my God, he's really good. That's what we have to do here. You got to let Adrian Griffin just do everything through trial and error. It's all you have to do. Just let him make his own mistakes. Okay. Not everybody's going to like his rotations. Not everybody's going to like the fact he maybe doesn't play Giannis a lot, or, whatever the case may be. You just have to let him make his own mistakes, and you got to let him coach through them. Because at the end of the day, coaching is not an easy job. And, you get like a split second to make a decision whether, you want to bring this guy in, take this guy out. You just, you gotta take it easy on some of these guys, because at the end of the day, there's nobody that's better that's coming through that door.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nobody in the free agent market. There were some discourse about, the Lakers and Darvin Ham maybe not getting along. Yeah. I wonder who's to blame for that. And then people were talking about, well, maybe Darvin Ham could come back to the Bucks. Okay. If he's not a good coach on the Lakers, what makes you think he's be a good coach on the Bucks? Just because he coached under Mike Budenholzer? If you can't coach LeBron James and Anthony Davis, then what makes you think he can coach Milwaukee? Okay? He just made the Western Conference Finals last year.
Yeah, and now they're.
And now people are mad. Jesus, I got to tell you, I'm not saying this is a LeBron James thing, but it is 100% a LeBron James thing. He does this to every coach he has.
He does, yeah.
He just runs every coach out of town that's not Ty Lue. Jeez Louise. God, of course you're the Lakers. Okay? Like you won the play-in tournament, and now you're just like, oh no, they got a bad relationship. Jesus. It's tough, man. It's so goddamn. It's tough. It would be tough to be. It would be tough to be a Lakers fan. You got anything else, Evan?
No. No, we mentioned so again. Bucks play the Celtics tomorrow. The return of Drew Holiday to Milwaukee, so I'm sure there'll be a tribute for him. And then they play Saturday home against the Warriors and Sunday home against the Kings. This is the start, or I guess still the start of the 5-game homestand. Or sorry, the 4-game homestand. Then they'll play the Cavs next Wednesday away. But yeah, got a couple home games to finish out this week.
Yeah, the only hope Milwaukee has to beat the Celtics is if Jaylen Brown doesn't play.
Yep.
I hate it when Jaylen Brown plays because he always kills us. Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, we got. Oh god damn. It's gonna be a tough game tomorrow, but it's gonna be exciting because
it'll
it's
be a good one
in Boston.
Yes.
You just gotta win, damn it. Just you gotta win. Because have they played him yet this year?
They played the one where they were down a lot and then came back and only lost by 3.
Okay. All right.
That was earlier on in the year.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Obviously, it was a longer podcast today. Had a lot of topics to get through, but thank you guys for tuning in to the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. And we'll see you guys sometime later, either this week or next week.